All right, week two of KIN not 499 Independent Study Spring 2022. So this is an independent study, which means I want you to be independent, but I don't want you to be independent. I know that sounds odd, but what I mean by that is I want you to be driving what you want to get out of this course and work independently and be independently driven, but I don't want you to be independent of me or the course. I want you to be checking in and make sure that we have a good plan going forward. As I've said from the week one video, is usually we work on a smaller group. There's a larger group, but that's okay. We'll just do a few more things remotely, and then spend a little bit more time in our group meetings, making sure that we're catching up and covering what we need to cover. So to help with that, well, first of all, I have to apologize, but we're not going to meet week two either, because we changed the day that I intended to meet on. I had meetings already scheduled for week two, so I'm adjusting my schedule so we can have the right meeting time, and that's okay because there's still some things that you can be doing prior to us meeting and talking. All right, I'm going to go through that for this week. And the key is this is where you need to be independently driven, is that you need to be looking at these things and doing them, and then maybe doing a few more things that aren't even on here. And that's that independently driven aspect of this course. I'll help guide you, but I don't always tell you exactly what you need to do from day to day or even week to week. So we look at this as a big picture type of course, and we try to really get the student, you, to really drive your own path for this class. All right, so let me share a couple things. Let me share Canvas first. It's this one. Okay, so this is week one module. You should have gone through all this. Make sure you're starting to either remember some terms or you're getting all your terms down so that we can have some good conversations. I pointed you to my YouTube channel, handbook, different pieces of information. You should have gone through all this and maybe go back through some of them. Week two, what I want you to do this week is start your CITI. What this is a certification that allows you to work on research projects with humans as subjects. Now, there's a chance you've done this already if you've already worked on a project or you've taken another class that required you to get the CITI. And that's fine. If you've already done it, you don't need to redo it. You only need to do it every 3 years. If you haven't done that, click on this link and follow it through and read up the instructions. You are going to do the biomedical certification for IRB. And so you can work through that. Remember, this is all free. There's no charge to you to do this CITI. Anyone who does research with human subjects needs to do this course. Faculty, staff, students, grad students, whoever it is, people off campus, if they're doing a project with UNLV, they need to complete this CITI. And it really talks about the rights that humans have as research subjects. And so there's some interesting information in there, and we can work on that. I am what's called the chair of the Biomedical Institutional Review Board here at UNLV. What that means is I chair a committee that reviews every project that involves humans as research subjects in the biomedical world. There's another board, the Social Behavioral Institutional Review Board, or Social Behavior IRB, and they do the same thing as us, but they deal with a different category of research projects. Both are very important, and both committees are responsible for approving any research study that involves humans as research subjects. So if you think of a study that you want to do, just know that we've got to go through IRB, and there's a process to that. And one of the things that we will do in this semester is go through that process so you can start to see how to do that. And then if you go on for grad school or you do a subsequent project, you'll already be familiar with this IRB process. The next thing I want you to do is explore Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a way to look up people who do research, and you can search for papers as well. I'm not really interested in using it for searching for papers, but what I'd like you to do is become familiar with the type of research your faculty do here at UNLV. So I want you to pick, I really want you to go look at every faculty member and see their Google Scholar profile. But I want you to pick 3 faculty and go to their Google Scholar profile and note their indices, their H-index and I-index. And maybe go ahead and note that their top cited research paper. What Google Scholar does is it gives a sense of how well read a researcher is or a research paper is. And so that's what's called an H-index or I-index. Those are ratings of researchers that tell how often their citations are cited by other works. And so that becomes important. You can also sort the citations under that faculty member by number of citations, and then note their most popular citation and note what order author they are as well. And that can be helpful as you start trying to understand what type of work a particular faculty member does. We'll do that. We'll do this with our faculty here. But I like to do this because if you start looking at applying for graduate programs, this is a good way to start to find potential mentors that you want to work under. Or if you're applying to a grad program at a particular institution, you can look up their faculty and see what type of work they do, current research, historical research. You can look at their collaborators and start to get a sense for the type of work they do. Because ultimately, if you go to grad work, you really want to start narrowing down a faculty member to be a mentor for you, someone who's going to train you in a particular area of research. So you got to know what their research is. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is I want to get to know you a little bit more. We'll do that through our seminar discussions, but go ahead and follow this link. Hopefully it works, and it should take you to a Google form. And I just want to know what you want to do and what you want to get out of this course. What do you want to get out of this semester? One of the tough sides of this course is I only catch up with you once a week, maybe once every other week, like we're doing now, and so sometimes it's easy to get lost throughout the semester. But I don't want you to, and we're going to stay in contact each week. And I really want to know what you want to get out of this semester, which leads me to the next document, the Independent Study Learning Contract. What I want you to do this week is start drafting up some of that information. Let me bring that up here. So you can put in your name, your course. In this case, we're KIN 499 and we're section 1004. Hours of work per week that you intend to do for this course. Credit hours, I think just about everyone is 3 credits per course. There is a variable credit load on this, and I was allowing people from 1 to 3 credits to register. All right, so here's just a little bit, put me down for instructor name. Here's just a little statement. The purpose of these courses to provide for intensive study in an area of special interest with appropriate faculty. The same quality of work and time invested in traditional class settings is expected of students in independent study courses. For example, 1 semester credit hour typically results in a time commitment of 3 hours per week. Supervising faculty members guide and evaluate students on their own work. All right, so if we're doing 3 hours per week per credit, if you signed up for 3 credits, you're going to put in 9 hours up here. All right? And I expect you to be putting in 9 hours per week. We will not meet 9 hours per week. Remember, we're only scheduling one hour meeting per week, which means there's another 8 hours there to be working on this material. What are you going to do in those 8 hours? Well, some of the things that I'm guiding you on, but then you're also going to try to identify gaps in what your knowledge might be or information that you need and fill that gap. So this is where that independently driven part really comes into play. What you're going to do, not for this week, but I want you to start drafting it. We should have this done probably by week 3, maybe even week 4 of the semester. You're going to write down some learning objectives for the independent study. Okay, what do you really want to learn through this next 15 weeks, 14 weeks at this point? And we can talk about that point a little bit more. How the independent study fits into your overall academic program career goals, academic program and career goals. And this is what part of that Google form is about. But I want you to put that down in just a couple of sentences, what you're hoping to get out of this class that will help you either in your program or working towards your career. Tentative set of deliverables with due dates. I'm not too worried about the due dates, but the deliverables are things you're going to turn in at the end. And we'll develop this. I'll provide some more information in week 3 in terms of what deliverables are. But for example, if you were going to do a research study or you wanted to propose a research study, a deliverable would be your CITI training, an IRB informed consent document, an IRB protocol proposal form. All right, those would be 3 examples of deliverables that you would turn in. Some other things that would go along with a research project is doing things like a literature review. So maybe a fourth deliverable would be a bibliography or a reference list related to the project, things like that. And we'll talk more specific about deliverables, but they're tangible things that you would turn in. And right now, your due date is really going to be the end of the semester. So make it study week where you would turn everything in. And I don't have these defined, so this is stuff that you would create based upon the direction you want to go. And I know we need to figure that out, and I'm going to keep talking and get to that point. And tentative schedule for meetings, obviously put down the seminar that you'll attend. It's either the Tuesday or the Wednesday time at this point. This is a legacy document. It says regular face-to-face meetings are strongly encouraged. We'll do the best we can. Hopefully we will be able to meet face-to-face, maybe in the lab to do some work or to do some instrument type of work. We may not. I have no idea right now, but we will continue to be remote at this stage until we feel we can get together and you're comfortable doing that. And yes, the student must take the initiative. So again, this is where you're independently driven. If you start getting going in a particular direction, you really need some one-on-one time. Go to that Calendly, book a time with me. I'll add a video link and we'll meet up. Assessment criteria. I'm not as worried about this. We'll talk about this a little bit more in terms of grading for this. Your grade is going to be really a participatory based grade. That is, if you're doing all the assignments, you're getting in, you're doing work outside of the lecture or the seminar that we do, you're putting time in, and you're really putting together some good information related to research, you'll get an A in this independent study. If you don't, and you only attend a little bit, maybe you don't really develop something in the research world, then your grade would be moved down towards a B. So there is a bit of subjectiveness to this grading, and it is really, really important to participate in any of the events, any of the seminars that we have. Eventually you'll sign this and I'll sign it, and this will be our contract, if you will, to make sure that we're not missing anything, okay? So I put this up as an assignment, but I'm not gonna make the assignment due. This final document won't be due until the end of probably week 3 or 4 at this point. Okay, now I've got one more document I wanna go through. This one. All right. Okay, so in this document, zoom in. I'm just listing the different pieces of information you're going to do. And again, I'll set this as an assignment, and you'll just turn this in as an assignment via Canvas. All right, so I want to start talking about some of the research projects that you can get involved in. Some of them are moving along, and there's already been some work done, and some of them are starting from scratch. Body weight support. We do a lot of work on body weight support in our lab. What I mean by body weight support is there's some device or some exercise mode that lifts you up while you run. For example, we've done a lot of work in running in the water. the water lifts you up while you're running. That's a body weight support mode of exercise. We also have specialized treadmills in the lab and one out at our satellite lab out at Lake Las Vegas. And this treadmill or these treadmills lift you up while you run. That is, you get in this treadmill, it's enclosed in a bag, you zip yourself into it, and then that bag fills with air. And as that air pressure builds up, it lifts you up while you're running. And we can change the amount of support you get on that treadmill, from 95% of your body weight all the way down to 50% of your body weight. Some of the treadmills will go all the way down to 20% of your body weight. All right, so we're working with a company right now called Boost, and I've got that link to Boost treadmills right here. And one of the projects that they want right now is to calibrate one of their prototype treadmills. And the prototype treadmill is out at Lake Las Vegas. If you're not familiar with Lake Las Vegas, Google, put it up on Google Maps and Google search and search for Lake Las Vegas Sport Club. And I've got a satellite lab out there, and I've got a student works out there that runs that satellite lab. And the one Boost treadmill that's a prototype is out at this facility. And one of the things that he's doing is he's just taking people, putting them in this this Boost treadmill, and then setting the different body weight support levels and recording the actual body weight. He'll put a scale inside the treadmill. The treadmill isn't actually operating, just measuring how much they weigh when they start setting different body weight support settings. So this is a project that you can get involved in, and you can also get out there and see our satellite lab. Soccer goalie. This is a new project. I just had a conversation with an industry partner, Neurothink, last week, and this is developing. But what they are working on, or potentially working on, is getting real-time video, game video from the European Soccer League. And then what they're going to do is use machine learning to identify success against certain goalies regarding penalty kicks. So where is the ball going relative to a particular goalie? And what you might be able to do is identify a weak spot in a goalie's defense. So they're looking to do that. And it might also help identify a weak spot from a goalie perspective and help him in this case, but maybe even female goalies down the road identify gaps in their defense and then be able to adjust based on that. So one of the things that we would do with this part of the project for our semester is first look for any literature related to goalies and training goalies for penalty kicks. And there's probably some good research on this. And so that would be one of the first steps that we would do here. Also, same thing, if you're interested in this, do the same thing. Do a lit search on body weight support research, and you can start compiling a list of references that you think look interesting. Okay, wheelchair biomechanics. A community member has reached out to me and wants to try to do some work related to biomechanics, physiology of using a wheelchair during wheelchair rugby. I put a link down there that he sent to me, and you can see what wheelchair rugby looks like. And there's different competitions here in town. And he's been interested in trying to identify the best way to get set up in a wheelchair. And so this would be another potential project that we could do, or some preliminary work in this semester, maybe even design a project or do some pilot work up front. And you could, again, if this sounds interesting, then you would do a lit search on anything related to wheelchair and biomechanics. Heated trousers. I'm having a meeting with another industry partner on this product. They've developed a set of trousers that heat up. And I haven't talked with him yet. I'm either talking with him Monday or Thursday. This is from Hoob Design, and he has some project in mind. I'll get the details of it, but my guess is it's going to be related to testing out whether or not heated trousers influence run performance or cycling performance in some way. So if you're interested in performance and you're interested in warm up, how that might influence performance, that would be a good project to get involved in. working with another company on wheel vibration during cycling. And this is wheel vibration during cycling outdoors. And so one of my grad students, actually the one working out at Lake Las Vegas, has accelerometers connected to his wheels and also his bike frame. And he's actually going to put some accelerometers on him. And then he's going to do some riding and measure the vibrations that he's experiencing and the bike is experiencing. And this has to do with wheel development. So if you like cycling, if you like mechanics of vibration, this would be a good project to get involved in. And then the final one I'm listing here is Smart Fabrics, working with yet another company on a product that is about recovery, and that's Incrediwear, and you can look them up here as well. In fact, I think the UFC fighter who won some big fight this weekend was wearing them on his knees during his fight. So interesting. But this company is interested in whether or not their product helps with recovery and maybe even helps with performance. So we're going to do some work with the fabric as well as some smart fabrics, which measures muscle activity while doing different movements. So we have some shorts now that measures how active muscles are. They're commercially available. So one of the first things we need to do is just figure out how accurate, how valid they are, and how reliable they are. Okay, so you can see these projects are all related to industry, and that's because part of what I do is try to really connect industry with research and try to push my research back out to the real world. So it's sort of neat to see some real application of research as opposed to just asking questions for the sake of asking questions, which I enjoy doing. I still ask the question, why do we run the way we run? That has no practical application up front. It actually does have a lot of implication for running shoe design, where you run, what surfaces you run, how you run, how long you run, all this type of thing. So it's very connected as well. But so hopefully these projects look interesting. And what you can start doing is identifying a project that maybe looks interesting to you, because the key with doing research, you got to have an interest in it. If you look at all the projects and they aren't interesting to you, this is going to be a hard semester. So what comes back to what I started with is, if you're looking for a grad program, you want to find a mentor that's doing work that you're interested in. You don't go to a grad program and expect the mentor to change their line of research to fit your interests. You always want to be looking at what your interests are and then finding people to help that. Now, at this stage of your research career, you want your interests to be really broad. And so maybe these don't look interesting from the outset, but you should pick one. And you might figure out that this is interesting, or what you can learn in this project will help narrow down where your interest should be. I always say, if you can rule things out, you're making progress, but you've got to be engaged to be able to figure out if you can even rule it out. Okay, I think that's it for this week. So we will not meet this week. Week 2, we are not meeting, but we will meet week 3. And just a heads up, on week 3, we do have the Stanley Cup on campus on the 2nd of February from 10 to 1 a.m., 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., I think it is. So and on the 3rd of February, we're actually going to be doing a mixer with industry partners and students and faculty who have an interest in research. So that might even be something that you want to attend, either seeing the Stanley Cup or the mixer. I'll post more information about that as it's developed. Okay, so I think that's it. I will add a little bit more information to the Canvas page before I release everything. If you have questions, just shoot it out and either send me a message, start a discussion thread, or book a one-on-one meeting, whichever way you want to do it. Okay, thanks everybody.